Welcome to the Real Chili Podcast.
And the Golden Eagles of Marquette University in Milwaukee are bound for the Final Four for only the third time ever.
5 seconds left. Marquette down by one, trying to avoid the upset. Blue the drive, the left hand. It's good. 1 second to play. Vander Blue has put Marquette in front by one.
And I want to win every day as basketball players, as students, and I want to win every day, most importantly, as people.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Real Chili Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lavender. I'm joined by Pete Mohan.
Hola.
And today we're here to recap Marquette's 94-83 victory in the first round of the Maui Invitational over VCU. And Pete, this was, if you didn't get the chance to watch it, Pete, and I know you did, this was a fun game for Marquette fans. Marquette weathered an early storm from VCU's havoc defense. We turned the ball over several times early and got down by 10-3. And from there on out, Marquette really turned it on. I don't know what you'd think of this, but to me, it looked like every single person on the roster had a couple of good moments in that game. Hanif Cheatham had some good moments. Obviously, Rousey, Hauser, Howard had big moments. Sakar had big moments. Theo John had big moments. Even Greg Elliott and Jamal Cain. This was a team win where everybody had a moment, and that was fantastic to see.
Well, it was a great game. It was exciting, and if anyone has the opportunity to find a recording of it or something online, if you haven't seen the game, check it out because it was just a great basketball game from start to finish. Two really kind of competing styles. Marquette likes to launch threes, and VCU likes to hack people when they do anything with a basketball. The big story for me was Marquette weathering a pestering, annoying type of team. Being a relatively young team that they are, weathering that storm mentally against just a frantic VCU squad was really impressive to me. So I think that bodes well. And to your point about the depth that we showed, that's the type of thing that you need in one of these 3 games in 3 days scenarios, is you need guys to contribute up and down the roster because you can't run these guys out 40 minutes a game 3 days in a row and expect to win 3 times. So good to see that those freshmen got in.
So I actually so the game kicked off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and I guess we should say before we get too much further that Marquette will play tomorrow, Tuesday, November 21st at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Central against Wichita State, who is the 6th rated team in the country, number 3 according to Ken Palm. Wichita State was down big in the second half to Cal in their game in the first round today, but actually came back to win by 10. So Marquette will play Wichita State tomorrow on Tuesday at 1:30. But before I actually turned the Marquette game on, I didn't get to watch it until about 4 or 5 minutes in, and Marquette had already weathered that pressure defense. And what I saw was Marcus Howard and Andrew Rousey handling the pressure really well, and people like Sam Hauser, Sakar Nim coming in to help, and they were able to consistently, throughout most of the game, get the ball across half court and implement the offense. And I think, Mohan, that speaks to the fact that Marcus Howard and in particular Andrew Rousey had the mental toughness to weather that pressure, because that's not easy to do, even in stretches, let alone the entire game. But they showed they had the grit to do that.
Yeah, I think resilience in general is kind of the main storyline in this game on a number of fronts. You talk about Howard. I mean, he got off to an ice-cold start, and it wasn't just that they were rimming out. I mean, he was missing by a mile, and they weren't good shots either. And
he was 0-5 at one point in the first half.
Yeah. I think, at the end of the first half, I think he was 0-5 from 3. They defended him well in the first half to force him into those shots. They play good defense. But he got going in the second half, and that was really the catalyst that took Marquette from around tied to extending that lead to an insurmountable amount, a lead that they wouldn't relinquish. So a good bounce back second half by Marcus Howard was kind of the key to the victory.
So we had Marcus Howard finish with 22 points, Sam Hauser with 20, Andrew Rousey with 20 points, and Hanif Cheatham with 13 points. The team shot 70% from the field. One thing, is we're kind of talking about the pace of this game, and VCU wanted to push it. And I guess a couple of things that struck me as I was watching this afternoon. I think one, between Howard and Rousey, at the pace this game was played, right? They were pressured all the way up the court, and that put them in situations where sometimes it was 5-on-3 because VCU had two guys back. And a number of times Howard and Rousey were able to just take that, get right into the lane, with 25 seconds left on 19 seconds left on the shot clock, and just put a little floater in. And they executed that perfectly a number of times. I think the other thing that I saw was ball movement. And within that, Hanif Cheatham found a little bit of a rhythm. And I know we've been a bit hard on Hanif, not necessarily unwarranted because he hasn't looked great. But Hanif, this game was very well suited for Hanif's style. He ended up with 13 points, looks like 4 boards and 3 assists. Hanif had a good game, but it was that transition style that I thought allowed him to kind of get into the flow.
I think that talking about the pressure is important because it was kind of one of our questions maybe in the offseason is, teams are going to recognize when Howard and Rousey are both on the court at the same time that this is probably a good opportunity to trap if you have length and the ability to, run guys in the press all game long. And really they responded well, although, we did have 17 turnovers, which is quite a bit. But I wouldn't say that the majority of them were a result of the press. It was actually more carelessness in the half court than anything else on those turnovers. And in breaking the press, we can't not mention Sam Hauser's role in that. I think that he did a great job of establishing his position just on the offensive side of half court and making himself available to Howard and Rousey when they got into a little bit of trouble. And there was a key point in the second half where they went back-to-back to Hauser breaking the press, and one time he got to the hoop and the next time he hit a 3 with a guy in his face. And he pretty much ended the morale that VCU had running that press, and that was almost the dagger at that point.
So I think Pete and I keep latching on to the pace that this game was played at because it dictated so many things, and Marquette was able to run and play that style. Pete, what you just mentioned, Sam Hauser was able to effectively, kind of get in that flow. Hanif Cheatham who was able to get to the rack and make a couple of nice drives, although on one of them he did get blocked significantly hard. But I thought one of the things that I saw that really impressed me was Sakar, Theo John, and Greg Elliott. They all, at various points, demonstrated that they knew how to pass the ball and move the ball around in our offense. Sakar got the ball near the elbow at one point and did a nice little easy bounce pass down to Theo, and Theo went up for the dunk. Should have been an and one, didn't get it. Greg Elliott got a long rebound and passed it out quickly to, I think it was Marcus Howard for a second chance 3. Jay Billis lauded Greg Elliott for such a terrific pass. So the ball movement, similar to what we saw last year where the ball movement was really strong, it's so promising to see Theo John, Greg Elliott, who I was really excited to see have a game like he did, and Sakar be able to step in and move the ball like they did, given how many, they haven't played a lot of minutes with this roster.
Yeah, I thought that they looked comfortable in the flow of the offense, certainly. Really, the key was their athleticism and chasing down rebounds, and we had 15 offensive boards in this game. I kind of mentioned that Howard got hot in the second half, and Rousey hit a few other guys hit some threes. Mm-hmm. A lot of those open looks that they got in the second half were as a result of hustle down offensive rebounds, and Hauser was the primary one. He had 5 offensive boards himself, and I think at one point they said, what do we have, 22 points off of offensive rebounds or something.
Oh, wow.
And it was all in those scramble situations that they've gotten so good at. They know how to find the space on the three-point line in a scramble situation. And once you grab that offensive board, look for that open guy in the three-point line. And we capitalized in those situations. So I think that, that's one of our keys to, okay, this team is really locking us down on defense and we're not getting good looks from the three-point line. How are we going to win? Well, we got to dig out offensive rebounds and find scramble situations where we can get our guys open looks. And, that was the key today.
We're going to transition to, again, this is going to be a brief pod, but we're going to transition to looking ahead to Wichita State, which, again, is Tuesday, the 21st at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Mohan, you mentioned that this is the type of tournament which mimics the NCAA tournament where you're going to need to go deep. So Greg Elliott had 9 minutes. I thought he was effective in those. Jamal Cain had a three-pointer, which was big.
Shout out to Greg Elliott, 2 blocks.
2 blocks.
Balling.
And he was hype. I loved – that's the thing. I love seeing – he only had 2 blocks. Greg Elliott did. He played 9 minutes, 0 points. But, he was in it, and he was hype. And I love to see that from someone being engaged. Jamal Cain, 8 minutes, 3 points. A couple of rebounds.
Oh, yeah. He low-key just sunk a three-pointer out of nowhere. I was like, oh, Kane's in the game?
Yeah.
Oh, bloop.
Bloop.
Drilled a 3 from the corner. It was nice.
Theo John, 17 minutes, fouled out yet again. Theo, we got to get this foul situation worked out. But Marcus Howard led the team with 34 minutes. Hauser 32, Rousey 32. So the reason I bring all this up is that less than 24 hours from now, they're going to be on the court against Wichita State. Now, working in our favor, in Marquette's favor, Wichita State actually has, and this is what neighbor Pete mentioned on text message, although he couldn't make it on, Wichita State has a tighter turnaround time, far fewer than 24 hours before they play us tomorrow. And they actually had to put a lot of effort into overcoming almost a 20-point deficit in the second half. So Wichita State is clearly a better team. Again, they have, I think, the number 3 player in the country, according to Ken Palm, Shaquille, help me out with his name.
O'Seal.
Shaquille Morris. Shaquille O'Seal. Shaquille Morris, the number 3 player, according to Ken Palm, again, on Wichita State. He's a 6'8", 280-pound forward, so someone that Sam Hauser.
Tight end.
Sam Hauser, Theo John. Wichita State should mop the floor with Marquette, but it's going to be a really interesting test. Similar to the Purdue game, how can we hang with them and how do we match up? Mohan, I know neither of us got a chance to see much or any of the Wichita State game, but anything you can kind of take away from today's victory and what you're looking for tomorrow?
Well, first off, I just want to say I was looking at Wichita State's Ken Palm, and I just got sick to my stomach when I saw the name of their home arena. Charles Koch Arena. Oh, give me a break.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Anyways. No, I think that Marquette played really well today, and I think it was a huge confidence builder for the team, after a shellacking at the hands of Purdue, to get right back on the horse against a team that is good. They're a good team. Yeah. They're a good team. They'll compete.
VCU is.
VCU, yeah, they should make the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they played well. Wichita State, they, like you said, they have a few of the best players in the country. Ken Palm says that about, Shaquille, but also they have Landry Shamet, who's an outstanding point guard, probably on the Wooden watch list is my guess. So, it's going to be something to compete with. At the same time, I think that with the mental boost we got today, that'll help our guys compete, and especially in a situation where Wichita State is going to be gassed. Personally, I'm not predicting a victory, but I do think that we'll make it close, and it's great for our RPI that we got Wichita State instead of Cal. I'll just say that. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to us competing with the top 10 team. Hey, who knows? It's Maui, and Steve Wojo has never lost in Maui in his career as a coach or a player. That was a stat. So the streak continues for Wojo. Does it last one more game against the Shockers? We shall see.
So I agree. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a great test for these kids. Hopefully they can put up a good fight. Again, it airs at 1:30 p.m. It's going to be on ESPN. So if you're home for Thanksgiving, Tell your mom to stop making you do chores or sneak away. Find a few hours to watch this game. Take your friends out, or if you're still on campus, pull up your phone during class. Tell your professor the Real Chili Pod said you could, and you'll be good to go.
Also, I have a breaking news.
Oh, geez.
From NBA.com, I got an announcement saying Giannis Antetokounmpo rejects John Wall's dunk attempt as Bucks battle Wizards. So I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out soon. Sounds good.
Holy shit. Well, as we're recording this at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time, there still has yet to be a betting line posted for the Marquette game tomorrow afternoon, so we'll make sure to tweet that out as soon as it comes up. Would expect it to be heavily favored in Wichita State. But with that, that's it for the Real Chili Podcast. We will be back tomorrow after the Wichita State game, win or loss, to break it down and give you a few quick reactions. Pete, thanks for hopping on quickly and joining me tonight.
You're very welcome. We'll see if we can ring out a Hoya on back-to-back days.
By the way, great crowd in Maui for Marquette, who is ringing out a Hoya very well.
Super crowd. Huge crowd.
They were on their feet, just like real fans should be.
Amen.
All right, folks. I'm Mike Lavender, signing off for Pete Mohan. Thanks for listening to the Real Chili Podcast. We'll talk to you tomorrow.